हेलो फ्रेंड्स, स्टूडेंट्स, बडिंग एडवोकेट्स, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब, सलाम। आपका बहुत बहुत थैंक्स फॉर गिविंग सो मच लव ऑन माय वीडियो लेक्चर लर्न ऑल चैप्टर्स एंड सेक्शंस ऑफ CRPC in 3 days. But that lecture was in 2017. All those students have already completed their LL.B. Now this lecture is for new students, new advocates and new criminal law, which is Bhartiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita. On same pattern and tricks, let's learn Bhartiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita in just 3 days. Come on guys, come on girls, let's kill this factor that law of Nagarik Suraksha is difficult. Just play this my video while driving, traveling or even having shower and I guarantee you that you will learn all the chapters and sections of Nagarik Suraksha in just 3 days. Let's begin with understanding the chapters arranged in BNSS 2023. It has got total 39 chapters and total 531 sections. And we begin with chapter 1 to chapter 3 with courts. Chapter 4 is powers of the police and aid to the magistrates. Next comes chapter 5, which we read with section 35 because 5 says arrest and 35 says bail and bonds. Then comes chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 6 says how to compel appearances of person and chapter 7 says process to compel production of things. 6 says person to be brought to the court and 7 says things to be brought to the court. Things can be books, pages, any evidence, anything. Let's further divide Nagarik Suraksha Code 2023 into 3 parts. First, chapter 8 to chapter 12, Preventive Provisions. Second, chapter 13 to 34, Punitive Provisions. Third, chapter 35 to 39, Others. Now, chapter 8 to chapter 12, Preventive Provisions are before the crime. Before the crime has happened. So second part is when the crime has happened, after crime, that is punitive provisions. And other chapters, they are miscellaneous. See, some of the chapters might interlink with each other, but I don't want to confuse. For easy learning, I have divided it into 3 parts. Now let's cover the first part in short. Chapter 8 to chapter 12. It is a preventive provisions. Preventive provisions to prevent crime. This is before crime. It is divided in 5 chapters. First, reciprocal arrangement. Second, security for keeping peace. Third, maintenance of family. Fourth, maintenance in public order, tranquility. And the last, preventive action of the police. First is chapter 8, reciprocal arrangement for assistance in certain matters and procedure for attachment and forfeiture of property. This is given under section 111 to 124. Then comes security for keeping peace and good behavior. This is actually asked from small time criminals which create a lot of nuisance during elections and other important events. This is given under section 125 to 143. Chapter 10, order for maintenance of wife, children and parents. I understand nowadays earning wife is also asked to maintain children and parents. But the prime responsibility is of the man of the family, if he is the man of the family. This is given under section 144 to section 147. Chapter 11, maintain a public order and tranquility. When this married man comes into the public order has to be maintained and tranquility. This is a very interesting chapter which we will learn at later stage. Given under section 148 to 167. Chapter 12, Preventive Action of the Police, given under section 168 to 172. So we have covered the first part of Nagarik Suraksha Code. Now let's come to second part of Nagarik Suraksha Law, which is Punitive Provisions. It is given under section 13 to 34. These are after crime has happened. After crime. It has 22 chapters which are further divided into 2 parts for easy learning and understanding. The first part is proceedings before trial begins, which is under section 13 to 29, and proceedings after trial begins, which are given under chapter 30 to 34. Proceedings before trial begins, it has 17 chapters, and second part, proceedings after trial begins, it has 5 chapters. Now to be precise and not to confuse, what I am doing is taking one chapter out of first part, which is proceedings before trial begins, and that is chapter 14. and I'm taking out one chapter from the second part, which is proceedings after trial begins, and that is chapter 33. Why am I doing this? Because it does not belong to this category. Chapter 14 says jurisdiction of criminal courts in inquiries and trials, which has nothing to do with proceedings. And chapter 33, transfer of criminal cases, the cases from one court to another court. Again, it has nothing to do with proceedings after the trial begins. But in this way, we will remember some of the chapters, and yes, in my upcoming videos, I will cover all the sections chapter wise. So do subscribe, and yes, please do comment how can I improve these lectures, and do write in comment which lecture you want me to do it for you. Now let's check what is in first part of Punitive provisions, that is proceedings before trial begins under chapter 13 to chapter 29. First of all, let's take this proceedings before trials and divide it further into three parts. This is how we are going to remember and learn all these chapters. The first is general proceedings. It is under chapter 13 to chapter 22. Second is special proceedings. It's given under chapter 23 to 28. And the last one, judgment, chapter 29. To remember general proceedings, let me tell you, chapter 13 to 18 deals with before trial, and chapter 19 to 22 deals with during the trial. Let me tell you, if you repeat this video lecture, you'll be surprised that you are understanding the law Bhartiya Nagarik Suraksha in a very proper manner. So girls and guys, may I have your attention please? Remove all your distractions. Let's be serious. Let's learn all chapters and sections of BNSS 2023 with this technique of imagining yourself as BNSS. Imagine you are Nagarik Suraksha Code, or the Nagarik Suraksha Law, or Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita. If you're a boy, Mr. BNSS, and if you're a girl, Miss BNSS, what will you do for your country? India, the Bharat, a crime-free place to live in. What are you going to do? You will make law. See, all the punishments for all the crime is given in BNSS. Now BNS and BNSS has difference. BNS is Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita, or the Nyaya law, which has replaced Indian Penal Code IPC 1860. So BNSS has to implement the punishments given under BNS. So Miss Nagarik Suraksha or Mr. Nagarik Suraksha, what are you going to do? The first thing you are going to do is make courts of justice. Let's start from the starting. Mr. Nagarik Suraksha, you will first of all introduce the law made by you. So the first chapter is preliminary, in which you have defined the terms given in the law made by you. That is Nagarik Suraksha law. So first chapter, preliminary, under section 1 to section 5. Then comes chapter 2, Constitution of Criminal Courts and its offices, under section 6 to 20. See, the courts must have power to function. So next chapter 3 is power of courts under section 21 to 29. The court needs to function through officers that are called police officers. So next chapter 4 is power of superior officers of police and aid to magistrate and the police. It is given under section 30 to 34. See, you have created the courts, you have created the police to help the court functions, and now you have to bring the accused person to the courts. What will you do? You have to arrest the person and bring it to the court. So next chapter is chapter 5, arrest of persons, under section 35 to 62. Mr. Nagarik Suraksha or Miss Nagarik Suraksha, as the case may be, you have created the courts and given its power. Then created superior officers of police and aid to the magistrate. Then you made arrest of accused person. But some crime does not need arrest of a person, so they are called to attend the court. Attending court means hassle, so person avoid to come to the court. On other hand, a guilty person will definitely avoid to come to the court, fearing he may be punished. So what will you do? You will create next chapter 6, process to compel appearances of person. This is given under section 63 to 93. It is a very interesting and important chapter. It says you can make them appear in the court. So this is the process to compel a person to come to the court. What if you want certain things to be brought to the court or do inspections? You need to create another chapter number 7. Process to compel the production of things, given under section 94 to 110. Chapter 6, process to compel appearances, section 63 to 93. And next chapter 7, process to compel production of things under section 94 to 110. These both chapters are further divided into 4 parts, and I want all of you to make a reading. At least you will grab something. Chapter 6, to compel appearance of a person, what will you do? Send summons, A, section 63 to 71, or send warrant of arrest, section 72-83, and if required, proclamation and attachment under section 84 to 89. There are other rules regarding processes given under section 90 to 93. Same way, to compel production of things, first you can do is summon to produce things given under section 94 to 95. Then there can be a search warrant that is given under section 96 to 101. Then general provisions relating to searches that is given under section 102 to 104. Miscellaneous provisions given under section 105 to 110. Simple. See, you are feeling happy right now. Do write comment. Express happiness if you are happy, and if you are not happy, do comment so that I can improve my lecture by innovative manners. So initially, the Nagarik Suraksha is done by the courts through police officers, bringing the person to the courts and bringing things to the courts. There are certain other matters. There are procedures for attachment of property. For that we have created another chapter, chapter number 8, reciprocal arrangement for assistant in certain matters and procedure for attachment and forfeiture of property. This is given under section 111 to 124. Now, there are habitual offenders in the society, trouble creators, especially on political religious events. One special event is Valentine Day. I always request to a group or organization not to create troubles on Valentine Day for couples celebrating in decent manner. The government should stop such people as per chapter 9 of Nagarik Suraksha law, which is security for keeping the peace and for good behavior, under section 125 to 143. So all genuine couples who celebrated Valentine Day will be married. If not married to girlfriend, they will definitely be married through arranged marriage and have kids, and thereafter live as a family with old parent as well. Some men does not focus on family. Some self-centered, selfish men do not maintain family. This is a social evil. So Mr. Nagarik Suraksha or Miss Nagarik Suraksha, what will you do to handle such situation? Definitely you will provide next chapter 10, order for maintenance of wife, children and parents, given under section 144 to 147. Okay, Mr. Nagarik Suraksha or Miss Nagarik Suraksha, you made the law for the protection of women, children and old parents. That is law for the family in a house. Now what about the society outside the house? It is responsibility of every citizen towards other citizens. Regard to safety, privacy, respect, peace, etc. So what will you do? You will create another chapter. Chapter number 11. Maintenance of public order and tranquility. Section 148 to 167. This is divided into further 4 parts. But basically it is regarding the peace laws which disciplines people when they are outside the house. It's an interesting chapter. It's divided into 4 parts. A. Unlawful assemblies, section 148 to 151. B. Public nuisances, section 152 to 162. C. Urgent cases of nuisance or apprehended danger. Only one section, section 163. D. Disputes as to immovable property, section 164 to section 167. And now about urgent emergent situation where administration cannot wait for someone to come forward and complain for any arising situation, which can be anything. To deal with such situation, we have another chapter, chapter number 12, preventive action of the police, under section 168 to 172. So we have revised chapter 8 to chapter 12, that is preventive provision. As I have already explained, it is before crime. And now let's come to second part of Nagarik Suraksha, which is chapter 13 to chapter 34, punitive provisions. These are after crime has happened. Now, Miss Nagarik Suraksha or Mr. Nagarik Suraksha, as the case may be, if a person living in the house has some trouble with the neighbors or persons outside in the society, what he is going to do? Definitely, he'll give information to the police and complaint, and you will give power to the police to investigate such cases. That is chapter 13, information to the police and their powers to investigate, given under section 173 to section 196. Next is not in the series, as I've already explained, chapter 14, jurisdiction of the criminal courts in inquiries and trials, given under section 197 to 209. This is interlinked with chapter 13, that even court can order police for such inquiry and trials. And to deal with such a situation when there is a contempt of the court, the prosecution is to be done, when witnesses are threatened, and even when the prosecution of judges to be done. Yes, we are talking about chapter number 15, conditions requisite for initiation of proceedings, given under section 210 to 222. Now, Miss Nagarik Suraksha or Mr. Nagarik Suraksha, what if the police does not register the complaint, does not listen? It may be various reasons. It may be because it's against their political leaders or police officers, public servants, or something what police thinks it's not necessary, but the complainant think it is necessary. In this situation, what will you do? Yes, you can provide next chapter 16, complaint to magistrate, and next chapter 17, commencement of proceedings before magistrate. In this, in the opinion of a magistrate, he can issue summon for summon cases or warrant in warrant cases. Chapter 16, complaint to magistrate, is under section 223 to 226, and chapter 17, commencement of proceedings before magistrate, is under section 227 to 233. Hey, are you getting bored and feels like watching reels? But remember, the reels won't make you intelligent or rich. Nobody will ask you what reel did you watch last year, but definitely people will ask you what studies you did last year. And reels won't help you get a job. Okay, coming back, Miss Nagarik Suraksha, Mr. Nagarik Suraksha, after the complaint is done and registered by the police, what next? Chapter 18, the charge. As per the complaint, the framing of charges is done. Framing of charge stating the offense with which the accused is charged, and it shall be in writing in the language of the court. This chapter is divided into two parts: A, form of charges, and B, joinder of charges. So after the charges are framed, it is sent to the court. So here we come with chapter number 19, trial before a court of session. Chapter 18 is given under section 234 to 247, and chapter 19 given under section 248 to section 260. Next, as the trial are of two kinds, first chapter 20, trial of warrant, and chapter 21, trial of summons. Trial of warrant cases by magistrate is under section 261 to 273, and trial of summon cases by magistrate under section 274 to 282. And there are trials for petty crimes, which are small crimes, which are covered under chapter 22, summary trials, section 283 to 288. Next is plea bargaining, chapter 23, under section 289 to 300. Miss Nagarik Suraksha or Mr. Nagarik Suraksha. Now the trial begins. What next? What about person who are arrested and are in jail? Chapter 24. Attendance of persons confined or detained in prisons. This is under section 301 to 306. And next chapter 25 is regarding evidence in inquiry and trials, because trials have begun. It's further divided into two parts: mode of taking and recording evidences, and commissions for examination of witnesses. This chapter is under section 307 to 336. Since everything is regarding trials, so next chapter 26 is also regarding trials. General provision as to inquiries and trials under section 337 to 366. So what next? What about persons of unsound mind? Chapter 27 is regarding that, provision as to accused persons of unsound mind. This is under section 367 to 378. And there might be a situation which can arise as a danger to the administration of justice. So next chapter 28, provision as to offences affecting the administration of justice under section 379 to 390. So Nagarik Suraksha has done everything. Now comes the judgment part. Chapter number 29, the judgment, under section 391 to 406. And what if the judgment is death sentence? Next chapter 30 speaks about it. Submission of death sentences for confirmation under section 407 to 412. After decision part, what will you provide? You will provide appeals. Chapter number 31 under section 413 to 435. On the basis of decisions, there can be references and revisions under chapter 32 and under section 436 to 445. Nagarik Suraksha forgot to give the transfer of criminal cases, that is under chapter 33 under section 446 to 452. Next, chapter 34. It is again on the basis of judgment that it has to be executed, means execution of judgment, suspension of judgment, remission and commutation of sentences. This chapter is further divided into 5 parts: death sentences, imprisonment, levy of fines, general provisions regarding execution, and suspension, remission and commutation of sentences. Chapter 34 is under section 453 to 477. So Miss Nagarik Suraksha or Mr. Nagarik Suraksha, you forgot to give the provisions for bail and bonds when a person is arrested under chapter 5. Remember I said chapter 5 and 35 are read together. Provisions as to bail and bond under chapter 35 is given under section 478 to 496. Then you forgot one more thing. What about disposal of properties? Chapter number 36 under section 497 to 505. So we come to the end of Nagarik Suraksha with chapter 37, providing irregular proceedings of the code under section 506 to 512. Anything else? Yes, chapter 38, a limitation for taking cognizance of certain offences under section 513 to 519. Still, if we have left with anything, that can be covered under chapter 39, miscellaneous, under section 520 to 531. दोबारा मिलते हैं, तब तक के लिए मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट, रिस्पेक्ट एल्डर्स, लव किड्स, मेक दिस प्लेस अ बेटर प्लेस टू लिव.